Eden's Living TV coming to you. I want to talk to y'all because I had a friend I was staying the weekend with, and I can't stand smoking. I really hate smoking. I don't like cigarettes. And they smoke, and I like going, wow, this is going to be a problem. And I was thinking there's got to be some kind of physiological something why people after sex or after really, even if it's a crappy meal, after a meal, they're like, oh, got to go smoke. I want to know why the brain works like that. So let's ask, why do people want to smoke after sex? Because most people, myself included, have a hole in their souls. Trying to fill it with food, sex, relationships, TV screens, drugs, alcohol, nicotine. Oh my gosh, he is on the money though. And other substance behaviors. Problem is none of the above will fill the soul. I know if anything can ever do that, if you had sex and maybe orgasm, experience big, easy pleasure, only be taken away from you seconds later, leaving you emptier than you. Oh my God, this is terrible. Okay, let's go look for more than this. I don't think that's the question I wanted. I'm going to leave it in the teaching. So, why do some people want to smoke after, after they eat, go smoke? Sorry, the sex thing, that emptiness your soul got me. Y'all, there really are people, they're just empty and they're lonely, and they want to be seen and heard. I've just got certified in trauma therapy, and this is kind of a tangent. I kind of teach like this. The Lord, I had to find out that the Lord was only, truly, Yeshua, my Savior, was the only thing that could fill the void of needing to feel validated, feeling loved, feeling worthy, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling protected. After my parents died, my family and I separated. I don't even speak to my brothers and sisters. They're half brothers and sisters. It's a long story. But there's a hole in my heart. I've always wanted family. I've always wanted my own family. And there is a void. And people that have addiction, I'm learning, is unprocessed trauma, or they're just trying to fill that void within themselves. Smoking, a lot of times, I tell my clients, when you're smoking, that nicotine is revving that anxiety, right? That nicotine is really damaging your vasculars, right? That nicotine and all those synthetic fillers and tobacco, if you're not doing organic tobacco, it's chemicals. Your brain is getting affected. You can't cognitively think. So, from a biological perspective, an enjoyable activity almost always involves dopamine release in the brain, like sex, food, running. All these are dopamine releases. That's the happy, feel-good hormone that your body releases. So there's dopamine releases in the brain, which is your feel-good. It's a neurotransmitter. Your synapses, it's transmitting synapses and signals. As the evolution has developed the infrastructure in our brains to ensure that certain behaviors such as eating and sex are reinforced as good things. So I can promise you, with the drug addicts that I work with, once they stop doing drugs, they'll pick up like, oh, I want to go exercise all the time. Well, you just laid down one habit and picked up another. And anything excessively, like over-exercising, could be an addiction. So if you give up drugs, 9 times out of 10, my clients develop eating habits that are unhealthy. They're trying to eat that void, trying to fill that void that drugs took, because drugs mate was their friend. They didn't feel, and they could always, check out with their drug buddies and their drugs. Well, when you don't have a substance or a chemical to check you out, that's why when I work with people, I'm like, are you on any dopamine, inhibitors at all? Are you on any serotonin inhibitors? Are you using Ambien, any pharmacia to alter your cognitive? And I'm like, we're going to get you off that, or I'm not working with you because it impairs you. I can work with you all day long if you don't change what you eat and don't change your mindsets and change the fact that you have to move and hydrate and get sunshine. Your health is never going to change. I'm not going to beat my head against the wall. So when you know that eating and sex are really good things in your brain, and there's got to be a dopamine release that motivates us to perform these behaviors that support the life and procreation, such as sex. Because you're feeling good. You want to procreate. Well, it's the first commandment. Go out and be fruitful and multiply. That's why Satan's attacking your reproductive organs, making y'all all sterile through modified food, modified pharmaceuticals, pharmacia. chemtrails, all these jabs that y'all have taken your whole life. You've altered your DNA, alters your ability to reproduce. So let's see what else someone has to say. During sex, you depleted the nicotine levels in your smoker brain so that the next cigarette just adds a familiar little nicotine jolt on the top of your post-cordial endorphin glow. But if you light that cigarette immediately after making love with a non-smoking partner, your partner is very unlikely to agree that it's good for them too. Yes, secondary hand smoke. So I just wanted to real quickly, I just had a question myself, and I was like, let's go to the internet. Why not tape it as I'm teaching? Let's see what this little person has to say. Physical reasons already stated above, and other reasons. One thing he wants to point out here is that smokers lighting up is like a dot after a sentence, marking the end of a given activity. The meal is done after you finish your cigarette, and so you do. You're laying these habits. You're laying these, in neuroplasticity, where I'm teaching to lay down new habits if you want to lose weight or get your hormones under control or boost your immune system. You have to do different activities daily. Add nutrition, movement, hydration, getting fresh air, laying those new habits to lay a new track down. So if your brain equates, man, after good sex or a drink or a meal, I want to smoke. It's an oral fixation too. Sex is done after finishing a cigarette. Certain task, especially in a manual labor, is done, and so on. Smokers often treat the habit as perioding function. After stated that it's not more of, at least the psychological part as important as the habit as physical. That's good. It is a ritual. It's a good point. It becomes a habit. You set it in your brain. Your brain's like, okay, I just had a meal, and now it's time for a cigarette. So when you try to work with people that are trying to quit smoking, and you don't get them to realize, okay, I have to bring to your awareness that you're going to want a cigarette, and you're going to either have to put a rubber band on your wrist, or you're going to have to replace that activity with going and walking or taking a hot bath or doing something healthy or making an energy shot. Something besides that ritual. And it is a ritual. So from the heaviest smokers in the morning, and pre-sleep cigarette is merely just a ritual. The act of stating that the day starts from here and ends with here. So the first thing you do is reach for a cigarette or go and do your toke on the morning porch, God did give you seeds for the healing of the nations. I'm not attacking that by any means, but I'm just saying, if you have a habit every morning, if you smoke, reaching for that smoke or whatever you're doing, vape, whatever it is laying tracks in your brain. You are creating habits that are going to be extremely hard to break. So the whole point of this is I believe there's not only a physiological connection to wanting a cigarette after sex or a food or a drink or after you finish something. It is truly, there is a connection. So this is pretty good. All right, I just wanted to make a really quick little video. Didn't mean to go on for 8 minutes, but there is a correlation.